take that deep breath together. Listening to the call that has already come from within, and know that we have come here this morning, whether online or in person, to be deeply immersed in and through and surrounded by the law of cause and effect that takes our deeply held beliefs and ideas and transforms them into reality. This is the way compassion and love work. As we more deeply feel and know our inner connection to Spirit, to God, to the divine, whatever the word is for you, as we begin to understand and feel that deeper connection to all of life, a natural compassion and love becomes our own way of life. And knowing that there is a place inside each and every one of us that has never been hurt or harmed or endangered. Because that divine presence that lights up the world has no beginning. That divine presence that has no beginning or no end is that unique spiritual idea in the divine mind, that unique spiritual idea which is each and every person that comes here today. That one source, that one divine mind, which is my mind now, operating in and through and as each and every person here on the planet. No one can be you but you. And you don't need to be anybody else because everybody else is taken. So we know as we unfold in that beautiful knowledge, in that knowingness that God is right here, right now, right where we are, and that we are indeed one of a kind, that we get to really expand and evolve into that knowingness that what we're here to do is to be love and to be loved. And so this is how Spirit becomes conscious of itself as you and as me. And as you take that vibration of remembrance in, remembering who you are and why you're here on the planet, to be more joy, to be more love, to be more compassion, to be more freedom, to embrace the wholeness of who you are, what happens is you get to give that energy away. And so you draw in, we all draw into us more love and more joy and more compassion. And this is the evidence of God being active and alive in each and every one's consciousness. Being that loving expression of the one mind, of the one source, of the divine. As we open up to that higher level of awareness, then what happens is we begin to vibrate at a different awareness and at a different level. And we are called to enter into the moment, the only moment that matters, the moment right here and right now. And so we begin to live from a state of grace, and we become that living grace. And we become the inquisitive and the curious, and we begin to live a life of wonder, because Spirit is indeed wonder. And so we know that heaven is not some place that we need to strive to get to after we die. That heaven is right here, right now, and it is within. And so that is a beautiful, beautiful place to be and to understand. And you know, our theme this whole year is living everyday wonder. You know, I've shared many times with you all that when I set my intention for the year, one year I set my intention to live in the mystery, and I will never do that again. So this year, we are living in the wonder, right? We're living in everyday wonder. I love that. Not just some wonder, but it's everyday wonder. And this month, we are exploring the inner life. And this week, our topic is pause and find the cause. Now, last week, Reverend Rainbow talked about seeing God or the divine in everyone. You know, the Course in Miracles tells us that every encounter is a holy encounter, right? And so she shared with us two Zen stories or lessons which illustrated her point beautifully. She talked about love, loving ourselves, and deeply embodying the idea that love is indeed always the answer, like we say every Sunday. Hopefully someone out there hears that love is always the answer. So let me begin this morning by picking up some of what Reverend Rainbow shared about loving ourselves, by first breaking down cause. I want to talk about cause for just a second, because it can be very complicated, really. Cause is that which causes. Now that makes sense to me, right? Cause is that which causes or produces an effect. The effect is the product of the cause. Every manifestation is an effect, and every effect is subject to its cause. Everything we perceive with our physical senses is an effect. Now, although the principles themselves are invisible, we see their effects everywhere in our world and in our universe. Our use of principle does not change it in any way. It's always there, ready to respond and make itself known in the visible world by the results of its activity. The principle is invisible and is the first cause. The result is visible and is the effect. So, in other words, we get what we give. We attract who and what we are. It is only when we ignore or misuse the universal law that we suffer from confusion until we bring ourselves back into alignment with it. Universal laws, such as the best examples of universal law is if you throw something up, it's going to fall down. So we get the choice to either catch it or let it go. Right? Cause and effect. Either way, it's always possible to introduce a new cause at any time and completely change the effect. What I mean by this is if you are coming from love, you will attract love. If you are love, you will attract love in your life. If you are practicing hate, you will attract hate in your life. And you will surround yourself with people who also hate. But you can change it at any time. So let's break this down even more. Raymond Powers, who's a New Thought musician, wrote that our birth certificates should have a warning on them. Don't drive under the influence. The influence of what? The influence of anything that is not a natural expression of who you are, an authentic choice made from the heart. So, this week at our meditation and metaphysical Zoom gathering, if you have not checked in with that, it's a wonderful time to really hear others' take on metaphysical laws and all kinds of things. So it's just a beautiful time to gather. So this week, I was reminded of a Namaste, which is my old community in Long Beach, California. A Namaste community member who came to me several years ago asking for help with her anxiety and worry. Anybody here have any anxiety or worry? Yeah, okay. So I'm just going to talk to the people online. Is that okay with y'all? All right. So she worried about everything. She worried about worrying, right? And in her own words, what she said to me is, I am a new student of the science of mind philosophy, and I am desperate. I'm desperate to change my consciousness in order to not worry anymore and live a productive life free from worry and negative thinking. And make no mistake about it, this was causing her all kinds of problems in her life, including her health. Now, I can almost see the look on Brenda's face. I can say Brenda because y'all don't know her. Now y'all got to look it up, right? You're going to go to the Namaste website. Is there anybody there? All right. So I can almost see the look on her face after several sessions with her when I said to her, what if being a worrier is part of who you are? It's not all that you are, but it is a part of you. What does it feel like to accept that? For all you worriers online, what does it feel like when I say that? What does it feel like to even entertain the idea, to accept that worry may be a part of who you are? It was a moment that changed her life because she got a chance to pause or to stop and reflect on the idea that she could love all of herself and give up the struggle to change or get rid of a part of her that someone else told her needed to be changed. This does not mean that she didn't continue to work on worrying less, but it does mean that she was working from a different perspective. Because we all know that when you work on something, when you try to deny something, such as worry, everything's going to show up so you can worry more because all you're concentrating on is worrying. But if you accept worry as a part of you, then what happens is everything shows up so that you can accept and surrender more. So she was working from a place of loving herself rather than punishing herself for who she was and who she is. Let's take a deeper dive. Dr. Ernest Holmes, the founder of Science of Mind, wrote that life fills all space and spirit animates every form. Life fills all space and spirit or God animates every form. But since you are an individual, even the spirit cannot make the gift of life unless you accept it. Life may have given everything to you, but only that which you accept is yours to use. In other words, you make your life mean little and limit its possibility when you refuse to accept the whole gift of yourself. So in order to pause and look at a cause, you must first accept the whole of yourself. And here's the beautiful part. Once you move into acceptance, then you get to choose. You get to choose what you might want to change, not because of the influence of others and what they think you should change, but by simply because you are working on ways to improve the quality of your life. In my client's situation, she decided to work with her anxiety and worry through exercise and therapy. Exercise to help her with the weight that she had gained from eating her worry, and therapy geared to uncovering her hidden beliefs about herself and her feelings of not being good enough. And keep in mind, feelings can be pleasant or painful, and emotions positive or negative. Both feeling and emotion are effects caused by underlying beliefs. So the most revolutionary thing is to be able to find ourselves within ourselves, even if at first it is painful and frightening. Only by working on the cause will the effect change or improve in our lives, in your life, in my life. And it's only then we will begin to evolve. Which brings me to the spiritual aspect of all of this. You know, the deal is, we have come to elevate our lives through spirit. Because if we can elevate our own lives, we can elevate the lives of others by our example. You know, people you meet that you just want to be around them because there's something living within them that draws you to the beauty and the joy and the harmony and the peace that they are, because they are living from the inside. We do this by connecting ourselves to the divine. God is not an object of worship, but a presence dwelling within us. We are its temple, and wherever we are, God is. Wherever we are, God is, even if we're worrying. The life of the spiritual path goes beyond the common and the ordinary, beyond the physical and the visible. Therefore, we are challenged to express the best of ourselves. We are challenged to express the best of ourselves as much as we possibly can. My mother used to say, I don't care what you do, as long as you can walk away saying, I did the very best I could do. And you might say that this is indeed living from the inside out. You see, our self-esteem is deeply connected to our relationship with the divine. When we stray from the spiritual path, and what I mean by that is not, when we lie or hurt people or any of that stuff. That's not what I'm talking about. When we stray from the spiritual path, what I'm talking about is when we don't pause, remember who we are, and do our own spiritual work. When we don't pray and meditate, or, even if you stop for a moment and say an affirmation of, oh my goodness, I am such a joy and a wonder in the world. Or, oh my goodness, I know that God is with me right here, right now, in this moment. That's going to change your day. So it's when we don't do the things that elevate our soul, when we don't do the things that open up our hearts so that we can express that divine joy that's already living in us and calling us forward, it's when we stray from that spiritual path and forget who we are. That's how we disconnect from the truth. And that's how we get irritated and agitated. And we want to blame and shame and do all kinds of things, not only to other people, but to ourselves, So we have to continue to pause. Because we don't want to fall into that human drama, do we? Mama don't like drama. Is that right? No drama, which are the feelings that I'm talking about of fear and guilt and blame and shame. And that's how we lose our authentic power. Because when we're doing and recognizing the truth of who we are standing in our power. Just like that poem. Standing in her power with those words. What really affects us is not people. It's not things or conditions per se, but the thoughts and the feelings we harbor in our mind in relationship to them and in relationship to ourselves. We not come into this life for material or intellectual purposes. We have come to find ourselves. For if we do not find ourselves, we cannot go out to others. You ever notice that the people who tell you the most about what to do are the people who do not have it together? Do you ever notice that? They're telling us what to do, but they are not living the words that they are speaking from, their mouths. This is why Emerson said, get your bloated nothingness out of the way. and start living who you are. We all leave this world and we take with us the level of spiritual consciousness we have reached. So, let us all awake with love and wisdom to find the deeper and truer meaning of life, which simply is, I am love. The deeper and truer meaning of life. I am the living spirit. So Reverend Rainbow shared these 2 Zen stories last week, so I'm just feeling so obligated to share one this week. So let me leave you with this. 2 Zen monks were crossing a river. They met a young, very beautiful woman who also wanted to cross. But she was afraid. So one monk put her on his shoulders and carried her to the other bank. The other monk was furious. He said nothing, but he was boiling inside because it was forbidden. A Buddhist monk was not supposed to touch a woman, and this monk not only had touched her, he had carried her on his shoulders. They walked for several miles. When they arrived at the monastery, as they were entering, the monk who was angry turned to the other monk and said, I'm going to have to tell the master. I'm going to have to tell the master. I will have to report this because it is forbidden. What are you talking about? What is forbidden? Said the other monk. Have you forgotten? You carried this beautiful woman on your shoulders, said the angry one. The other monk laughed and then said, yes, I carried her, but I left her on the other side of the river, many miles behind. Why are you still carrying her? So you have to ask yourself, what are you still carrying around? What are you still carrying that is keeping you or preventing you from pausing, from stopping? What are you still carrying around that is preventing you from stepping into your own darn power? What are you still carrying around that prevents you from knowing the truth of who you are? And I invite you to let that go and accept all of who you are, because your world is going to change, I promise you, once you surrender to the truth of who you are. So this week I'm going to invite all of us to accept our whole self, all of it, and begin by defining the vision of your life. If you don't have a vision, get one. And define the vision of your life and who you want to be, and set yourself on the path to that goal every day. Live it with self-discipline by holding yourself firmly in right actions and behaviors. Ask for the support from those who encourage you and are willing to help you and stand with you along the path. Take the time to pause, to stop, and see the divine, because guess what? Therein lies the answer to all things. And remember, don't drive under the influence. Let's go into prayer.